This is your host Sanjay Agarwal. Welcome to Startup Saga. We're talking about startup world. When we think about startup, we think about money, but it is not always about money. It's definitely about people and their dreams. Dreams that can lead to a journey that can turn into a saga. Again, welcome to Startup Saga. Today we'll talk about two topics. One, when to make a switch. You're in a corporate job and you have a dream to start your own company. So when to make that switch? A lot at stake. We'll learn from somebody who made that switch. Number two, investment strategies. The person we'll talk about today, he has his own small PE firm and they do a lot of investments. So I think we are going to learn a lot from his experience. I have with me Sanjeev Vinayak. He's a great friend. I've known him for the last 10 years. Few good things about him is a really a people person. You can reach out to him whenever you want to. Was always ready to help you. So he's got a great quality. Number two, he gets into unknown territory. He became the deputy mayor of his town. We don't do that so often. So I think that's kind of made me excited about him. Number three, he's got that extra leap of faith in himself, and which makes him to start something from the scratch. So he co-founded this PE firm with his two co-founders. Sanjeev is from India, and Sanjeev is married. He's got two kids, Adit and Anaya. And I think Adit just got admitted to NYU, so he's a proud parent today. And he loves eating Indian food. He loves playing sports. As a person, I think he is chilled out, but at the same time, he's got a very pragmatic approach towards life. And I learn a lot from him. He can really share some good philosophical thing. So let's get into our discussion. Sanjeev, welcome to the show, Startup Saga.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited.
Thank you. So, Sanjeev, we'll talk about two topics. One is when to make the switch, and number two, the investment strategy. But before we get into that, why don't you share something about your background and what excited you about private equity?
Sanjay, as you mentioned, first of all, thank you so much to Startup Saga to get me here and talk to. As you just mentioned, I'm from Indian descent, grew up in India, did my high school there, did my undergrad there, undergrad in hospitality, finished up in New Hampshire, did my master's at Pace University in IT. So from hospitality to IT to operations and supply chain, and now to private equity. So it's I'm a regular person, never intended to go in one or the other field. Whatever opportunity came my way, I took it.
Superb, superb. So, hospitality, IT, and operations. Operations, what? Supply chain, if I'm not wrong.
Operations, supply chain, yes, in
That's a
consumer
great
goods.
background. That's a great background. The key question here is that, like, you were in a corporate career, and if I'm not wrong, you were there for 14 to 15 years. Now, can you share with our viewers what went into your mind? How did you prepare yourself before you made the switch?
I think short answer to this long journey is to I was in a firm in multiple different firms that got acquired by either the PE funds or other strategic companies. And every time when you get acquired, people on both sides are happy buying and selling. But people who are working in the company, they get severance and then start looking for a job. So I think always been intrigued by venture capital, private equity, hedge funds, and the funds that invest in companies. So always intrigued by that, always wanted to be on the other side of the table. So instead of just being on the corporate side and keep doing this over and over again. So I guess that is what kind of intrigued me into knowing.
Your experience is that multiple time company got bought out, and you came to kind of a conclusion that why not be on the fund buy and sell side rather than be a part of the whole ecosystem. Now, when you wanted to become an entrepreneur, I'm sure you must have discussed with family, prepared yourself personally. Like, can you share three or four things for our viewers so that they can learn from you?
So fun fact about me, Sanjay, my father is was a businessman. He still works, but my wife's family is a business family. So I always had this in my head, Akira, to have business, to have your own business. I opened up a restaurant in 2012 for 6 months. Lost my shirt on it, but never gave up hope. So always wanted to be in that arena. But in order to get to a business, I think over a period of time I've become a little bit more experienced on how to go about making that switch. I think first thing first, let's get the base out. You need to be financially okay to make that switch. You don't need to be great financially. You just need to be making sure if you're trying something new, you're going in there with the mindset that you will do that. So I think first 3 4 years, you need to make sure that expenses are covered, whether that's your spouse working or partner working, or you have some savings or the combination of both. That should be out of the way.
So, finance is one.
Finances are one. Second is you need to have the support of the family because you're switching something you're passionate about. So If family is supportive, it's easier to get that done. If you're passionate about that, I'm sure the family will support you as well. So if you're passionate, you have the financial backing, the next thing is you need to work with the people you can trust. If you're making that switch with your friends that you can trust, or making with some coworkers that you know that they are in the same boat and want to be have the same goals, similar goals, I believe. And the last one is have the courage to switch.
So finance, family support, team, and kind of a courage slash passion. What about the mission, vision, the idea, the product? Where does that fall?
Of course, wherever you go, you need to have a business plan. First is the business plan, then is the execution of that business plan. So, whatever line you want to switch to, you have to have a business plan, because whatever you're getting into, if you think it's going to be short term, then you're not going to be successful. If you're going in it for long term, you need to have a plan. If you have a plan, you can execute that plan.
And then your experience in hotel management, IT operation, did that became a very vital inputs to this to that plan?
I think part of every experience definitely helps, but majority of the food company experience, the operation and supply chain is what experience I bring to the table on the fund side. Making it operation supply chain more efficient, adding to the bottom line is what I put in. Our fund, we are three partners, and maybe we can talk about this a little later, but everyone gets a different kind of experience to the table.
So, okay, we talked about the switch. Thank you for kind of sharing those 3 to 4 points. Great. Number two, as we talked, like your fund, so your idea. So, you guys formed a small PE firm. Like, did you founded that with your own money, or and did you knew which industry you will be focusing on? Can you share a little bit about that?
I think it is what you do, what naturally comes to you. So we were all in the food companies, all three partners were in the food companies. So we naturally went into investing into food
That's very
companies.
interesting. That's very important. You have that background of food industry.
Yes, yes. And we are three partners. One is very good with numbers. So he takes care of all the accounting and finances across the different portfolios. And the other one is very good in sales and marketing. So he takes care of sales and marketing across all different portfolios. I am good in operation and supply chain. So my focus is mainly operation and supply chain across all portfolio companies. So those experiences matters, and we cover those aspects of our businesses, whether it's investment, but investment in the companies further the brand. We make sure those brands are true to the numbers or true to the business ideas and the logic that we had been applying based on our experiences.
So what I'm learning is that you come from similar industry, you want to venture into same industry so that you know what you are going getting into. And one interesting thing what I learned is that three partners, they bring three different skill set, and that kind of becomes a solid team. So this is very interesting. So thank you. And I understand it is self-funded, right?
It is we did not raise money from outside. It's been 7 years now. 2016 we opened up the fund. Yes.
How many investment you have made so far in the 5 to 7 years?
So overall, we have made five investments. Three out of five we had complete control on. One we sold out of the three 2 years ago, and one we sold on the other two remaining that we did not have full complete control on.
So you still have a kind of a minority control on the remaining two.
That's right. That's right. So we have three investments left with us. Two we completely control. One is just as a passive
And we'll
investment.
come to the minority part a little later. So, investment, let's talk about investment strategy. So, when you buy a company, what are the things you look at so that our viewers can learn from?
We are laser focused on plant based and allergen free space. There are a lot of companies out there, there are a lot of investment funds out there. They do what they are good at. We are very good at, and then we focus on one particular thing is plant based, second particular thing is allergen free. It has to be both wherever we are investing in.
Why that industry? Is it because you belong to that industry, or is that industry is growing? Or
Again, very important question. On the top of being a good question, it is a very important question. The fund we focus on, we actually make sure we are in the category that is growing. Plant based today and past few years have been growing laser focus. So we focus on that niche. And then allergen free, a lot of allergies going around. And if one person in the household is allergic to something, the whole household becomes prone to that allergy, whether they have that allergy or not, but they're not going to get that product in the house. If there's peanut allergy, you will not get anything peanut related in the house to be safe.
so it start with something not going well with the family, but it kind of make the family more disciplined and everybody's allergy free in a way.
It's not ideal, But it's good at least to know that you're allergic to something, and if you don't eat, you're perfectly fine.
You take precaution and other family members kind of support. So everybody is kind of on a healthy path. So that's good. That's great. Now, apart from a growing industry, when you buy a company, what other factors you look at?
See, we look in the smaller companies.
Got it.
Big P funds are for big companies. We go in the smaller sec. For us, product margins are important. Not net profit. Most of the companies we invest in, they are EBITDA negative. We look at product margins. So whatever product they launch or they have been selling, they need to make that contribution margin towards the whole portfolio.
The contribution margin has to be good, but you mentioned a very interesting point. Most of the company you invest in is a negative EBITDA. So is that becomes a target company for you so that you can convert them into a positive EBITDA?
It could be that we'll turn that into positive EBITDA, or it could be that we reduce the negative EBITDA to even further reduction. But it is not because they are bad companies, it is only because their growth or the size of the company is not that big enough. And if you get a company that is very small and you take it to double or triple, but it still could be small, that EBITDA is still not positive. But if the product has margins, we have other companies that we can merge everything together and get efficiencies from other businesses to make that positive.
Industry, product margin, efficiency opportunity, scaling opportunity, right? These are the four things, right? What are you guys are good at? Is it scaling opportunity or EBITDA management or both? Or you, if you were to pick one of the two?
We are good in overall scaling and efficiencies both. EBITDA will happen if the product margin is there. We just grow the business, it'll automatically happen. It'll go to EBITDA positive. And the four things that we look at is category, product margins, sales growth forecast, how the sales are going to grow or what they have in their forecast. And the last thing that we look at is full control of the company.
The sales forecast can be a piece of paper. How do you validate that?
You go and see historic data, how they've been doing. If they have been trending 20% growth and suddenly they're putting 40 or 50 or 100% growth, you want to make sure that they're true. It could also be possible that they're going to go to 100 or 200% growth, but how much they are spending on the marketing dollars or the advertising dollars. So we have our way of looking at it.
And
Yes.
then industry knowledge, etc., etc.
Yes. Yes.
Got
Yes.
it, got it. So that becomes your investment.
All these things comes naturally if you are from the industry. You can, and there are some people who are very good at that growth. We may not be good at that growth, so we shy away from it if we see that is very aggressive growth that they're putting in.
So we understood the investment strategy. Now, you said that did you exited any one of the investment you guys made so far?
Yes, we did. We did a company called Hillary's Veggie Burger.
Veggie burger.
Yeah, it's a Hillary's Eat Well. It's a veggie burger company.
Got it. Got it. Now, that company, when you exited, right? Can you share your exit experience? Can you share what people should look at during the exit process? Because a lot of startups would like to exit after a few years. So, why not they learn few things from
Exit process could be daunting, could be very exciting, could
you?
be great, right? So all I can say is if you have other company that is interested in buying your company out and the major business goals or business decisions are aligned, for example, they're ready to pay what you're asking for, looking for. There is no hidden things in the detail that, oh, they will not take over this debt or that debt. Whatever the higher goals are, if they are in line, what you're looking for, I would say then the transaction becomes easier. You have to just make sure you are putting everything on the paper so they know what you're talking about and they sign and then start the due diligence phase. Due diligence takes time.
How much time does full exit process take? What anywhere from X to 9,
Right. It took us 6 months.
6 months? Yeah.
Yes. Even in the small company, it took us 6 months. Sometimes it is not a new, it is on the other side of the company. The company that bought us out was a little bit on the larger side. So it took them a little time to.
Tell me one more thing. I kind of learned it when I was doing some of the M&A work. Is that like after you sell the company, you are still kind of responsible for the next 12 months if the data you provided to them is right or wrong?
It depends on the deal. So if you're saying, no, the information that you provide, I hope you're providing the right information. Future growth could be off based on the market, based on anything. But past information, if that is something off, well, in the deal, you take also the insurance. When you're closing the deal, there's always an insurance there or some money is accrued towards or kept
From some escrow account, so
in the
that
escrow account.
that's valid for, I think, it's 12 month. Like
It depends, yes. It could be 12 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be anything, depending on your own deal, what you're doing. And it could be nothing.
nothing. And then the company you sold, how long did you hold it? That company, how long
Maybe
did you
about
keep it?
5, 6 years, yeah.
5, 6 years. Is that the standard? 5 to 6 years
Yeah, 5 to 7 years, I think, is good. 3 to 5 years is a little on the
to
shorter
make
time
some
period time, but
make the
I think 5 to
transformation.
7 is good. Seven to
5 to
nine
7.
is on the. It depends on private equity, right? Private equity wants to turn their fund around, so
So can I ask, like, what are the multiple you bought? What are the multiple you sold? I'm not
yeah, we bought it a little bit less than what we sold it for.
Of
So
course.
we grew the business and we sold it for a little bit better multiple, I guess.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. Sorry, I didn't knew that. No, thank you for that. So 5 to 7 year exit, which is industry standard. I see that. Number two, the right multiple you get. Does it matter whom you are selling to, or it doesn't matter?
It matters a lot. If you really believe in the brand that you grew, and if you want to stay in the business, and if you want to see how the brand does, if the
But you're
brand
selling
goes
it.
south.
How does it matter to you? Sanjeev, you sold it. Why emotional attachment?
No, no, there is no emotional attachment per se, but whatever you sell, you have a track record. If the company you're selling and you're selling with the data that is not correct and the company doesn't do well, they can put it, blame it on you as well. So
Okay,
it's always
okay.
good to see what you started keeps growing further up.
And the company you are selling to, you also want to make sure that there is some kind of due diligence about that company so that you don't land up in trouble in the future.
Yes, yes. Due diligence is all about that. Yes, it is little less daunting on the seller because once you sell the company, you're out of it. But if you really grew something, you want to see it grow further. Yes,
That's
it's
what
not in
I'm
your
saying.
control, but
Sanjeev, that's why I'm saying there's emotional attachment.
yeah.
You can say that. We talked about you buying a company, you were selling a company. There's a valuation involved in the whole process. So, can you share with our viewers how do you value? Like, what do you look at? And apart from, of course, there's a multiple, but when you are valuing the company, what are the fine points if you can share?
So, Sanjay, as I said, when we evaluate the company, we truly believe in the category, the product margin, the sales growth, and the full control of the company. That is how we evaluate our company. But there are two mindset of evaluating the company. One is private equity mindset, and the
Got
other
it.
one is strategic company mindset. When strategic company buys a company out that already have established business, much bigger than what they're buying, I'm just taking that as an example. They're looking at product margins. Most of the overheads they will absorb. So they will
Got it.
convert that into profitability. So their bottom line will look good. Their top line will look good because they're adding to the top line. So overall, they are looking at product margin. And then depending on how they are evaluating it, they will give multiples on that. Private equity is looking more on the sheer growth. I'm using that as a generic example. They're looking at growth. How successful is this company on the revenue side? Is that truly the growth they can take it to? So they buy today, even if they buy, say, three multiple today, if they grow the company 10x and now they're getting the three times on that 10x, it's a huge win for them. So it's a different mindset. Private equity is too aggressive. They want to keep the team intact, maybe make some other people add to the team. Whereas strategic company, they're not interested too much on the people. They have their own guys.
So, you guys are uniquely positioned, right? You are a PE firm, yet you're running the show in a very strategic manner, basically. That's very interesting.
Yes, yes, yes. We are fortunate that way.
Thank you, Sanjeev. We talked about switch, we talked about investment strategy, we talked about exit, we talked about valuation. Anything you want to share before we kind of close the show? Anything for our viewers? You want to share something?
Since it's a startup saga, and Sanjay, you're doing a tremendous job and service to the people to know and understand what goes in there and what to look out for. And I think these things matter. These things matter a lot. I saw your first interview and that kind of gave me sense of, something clicks off in your head. Yeah, 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 yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. So just on those terms, I would say is whenever you're trying to switch from corporate job to something on your own startup, as I said before, I think make sure your finances are covered. It's not a big deal to cover your finances. Don't be too over analytical on what you're doing, but just make sure your finances are covered for next 3 to 5 years. You should work with the trustworthy people that you can trust or people can trust you. So your relationship with the people that you work with is important. Go long term. When I say long term, 3 to 5 years at least. Just do not switch before that, unless it's something different that you went into and So last is be ready to pivot after 3 to 5 years. If you're given your hard work and if it's still not there, you need to pivot. It's okay. It's a learning experience.
Thank you. Thanks, Sanjeev. This is Sanjeev Vinayak, man of heart, man of vision, man of long term. And we all love you, man. Thank you. I wish you great success in all your future ventures. I hope you grow and maybe hire me someday. I'm a finance guy. But no, jokes apart, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Sanjay. It was mutual. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again in the next Startup Saga.
Thank you, Sanjay.